Welcome back to Precisely Nowhere and another welcome if you are a new listener. Today's episode is my 50th solo episode. I'm super excited. I can't believe it's been 50 solo episodes already. I recorded the first 25 with my former co host, Rose, who's also one of my best friends. And then life happened, and Rose had to step away from the podcast, and I continued it on because it was and still is a passion project for me. And it is my way that I tap into my creativity on a weekly basis. I'm just in awe and very excited that it's been 50 episodes. So this episode is number 75. I've officially recorded 50 on my own, and I am proud of myself because when I first started this podcast, I was pretty nervous to even be pursuing my own podcast, let alone could not fathom recording on my own. And I loved getting to have this passion project and share it with one of my best friends. So I loved co-hosting with Rose, but when she had to step away, I couldn't imagine not doing it. By that point, I was in it and really enjoying it. I was seeing how it was helping me grow in all aspects of my life. It isn't just a hobby that lets me be creative, but it is something that has taken on a life of its own in a way and is helping me grow professionally, individually, like as a person, as a girlfriend, as a family member. It's made me very happy in all the best ways, and it challenges me, and it is not easy to keep it up, but I am very proud of myself for keeping it up. I was determined to do weekly episodes and have been very consistent with that. And here we are, 75 episodes later. It is a very exciting episode. Woo woo. Cue the applause. Yeah, episode 75. It is also my 1 year in California. So lots of things to celebrate, reflect on. It's been 1 year since I moved from New York to California. Wow, has this year also been a big challenge, but now that it's been a year and coming out on the other side, I am happy to be able to look back and reflect on all of the challenges that I've overcame as an individual moving from New York to California since I had lived there for 12 years, and it was a big transition and change even though my family's here, and as a girlfriend because my boyfriend and I had been together for less than a year when we decided to move to California. I'm pretty sure. Numbers are hard. Not going to do the math currently, but we were early on in our relationship. So it was an exciting adventure for us. And we definitely had challenges and obstacles along the way, but we have come out of the other end even stronger. And I'm so happy and excited to see what the next year brings us and myself individually, and also my boyfriend individually. So it is all good vibes. A year has flown by, and it is wild to think that it's already gone. So much has happened, yet it feels like it was a blink of an eye. So really trying to be present and learn from this past year and not take it for granted. All of the work and progress that I've made on myself individually. And it's so easy sometimes, in my opinion, to go through life obstacles in the moment, really acknowledge what you've learned from it, but then continue on living and not remember those lessons that you've learned and how they sometimes can help you avoid finding yourself in the same situation. And that is something that I am trying to hone in on because I am grateful for all that I have in my life. I'm grateful for what the podcast has given me and how it's allowing me to connect with so many people. So Before I get too ahead of myself, in today's episode, I wanted to share some lessons learned living in a new city since it's been a year. The transition period is really hard. I think that it's hard, but not in a negative way. It requires investment personally in ourselves and mindfulness of how to spend our time and energy. And it's very similar to the transition period of deciding to do the podcast and take on this passion project that is now a side hustle that is a part-time job, but not in the sense of it's a chore. It's something that gives me life and fulfills me. But nonetheless, the transition period was really hard. It required me to invest in my personal time in order to get the podcast going and keep it running. And I am happy to be in a place where it's giving me back what I've been putting in. And this is something that I've also talked about with some of my friends and in guest interviews because taking time for your own passions and challenging yourself personally, no one like has to do that, right? A lot of us are challenged in our day-to-day lives just from our 9 to 5 or whatever our life circumstances are. Taking the extra step to invest in yourself and personally what fills your cup up, I think is so important, especially nowadays with life feeling like it can be always on the go. I think the more that we enter this digital era and everything is AI and social and the internet and how fast what is my internet speed and can I get service to be able to communicate or watch this thing, when I'm camping for instance. Everything's so always on the go. We have information always at our fingertips that it's also important to step away and just check in with ourselves. Do something that is going to give you back in whatever way you need it. Maybe it's your time, maybe it's your peace of mind, but just doing something for ourselves is so important. And having this passion project and this podcast has been my way of doing that. It has been so challenging in the past year to keep it up with the move and just transitioning from being in New York to being home and juggling family and friends and my relationship. But throughout it all, I have had, and I'm grateful for, the love and support of people around me. And it's so easy to take that for granted sometimes, but I am very appreciative of everyone that's listening, whether you're a new listener or someone that listens weekly. Thank you for tuning in and taking some time for yourself because I do think that this podcast is a breath of fresh air in your day. That is the intention of it. It is to encourage anyone that's listening to take some time for themselves, invest in your personal growth in whatever way that means to you. And if you're not sure, well, tune in with me and I will share ways that I'm investing in myself and how I'm growing and hopefully inspire you to do the same because life is about growing. We can stay how we want to be, never evolve as people. That's totally fine if that's your choice. But there is so much beauty in evolving and taking lessons from the life experiences and carrying them with you as you go about your journey. And I'm here for people that are trying to do that because I think as much as we don't all have to change or constantly grow, I think if you're not self aware enough of what fills your cup up, what brings you joy, and also mindful of how you're spending your time or how you're even treating people, if you're not growing from these life experiences you're having, I just don't know how that could be super fulfilling, which in an ideal world, we all would want to wake up in the morning and go to bed at night and feel at peace. I don't know if that sounds woo woo, but that is my goal. Marco, my boyfriend, sometimes asks me how I'm so chipper and how I'm such a morning person. And I honestly never used to be. And my mom could also agree because when my boyfriend told my mom that I was a morning person, she like stopped for a second and was like, "Are you sure that's my daughter?" Because the person she knew, me as a teenager and growing up, it was always so hard to get me up in the morning. I didn't like waking up early. So much effort to be put into getting ready for school. I liked getting dressed, doing my hair, all of that jazz. But also part of that was societal's expectations and me giving into them a little bit more maybe than I should have at times, but you live and you learn, right? And middle school and high school is tough. Kids are assholes sometimes, let's be real. Like they haven't fully lived a whole life and you learn what you're taught in a lot of ways. The whole balance of nature and nurture. I think that some things can actually be nurtured. It's not just passed down, and there's definitely things that we inherit from our parents, but a lot of it, and what I want to focus on today, is just the things that you inherit behaviorally because that's what you're around, that's what you're taught, that's all you know because you're a kid and you don't know anything else. Especially when, for us millennials, how we grew up, where we didn't have access to an iPhone in elementary school or middle school. The internet was not what it is now. So just access to information was entirely different. It is a blessing in a lot of ways that the internet exists now for people that have access to it because they can also learn, and I learn things now, learn about things that maybe your parents didn't teach you because they never were taught those things. So that is my long-winded way of saying I think that growing as a person is exciting. And in growing, I have come to terms and realized some of my childhood trauma because I am an adult now and you get put in new situations maybe that you haven't been in and things get triggered and then you start to think, why am I triggered by that? And if you sit down and reflect with yourself, for me, I realized, oh, I'm triggered by it because of experiences I've had in the past. And as much as I don't want to repeat the cycle, I'm also human and haven't always learned how to process certain experiences or things because I wasn't taught that, or my gut reaction is to respond in a certain way because of what I was around. So I could make excuses all day and be reactive, and maybe that isn't kind because that's what I know, or I have the choice now, is what I realize, to grow and evolve and to be the person that I want to be, not the person that society wants me to be, or my parents want me to be, or corporate America wants me to be. And I didn't always have that clarity fully. We all get lost along the way and give into societal expectations. And I definitely have had my time where I was in the rat race of corporate America, and I'm still am in corporate America. Like, there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's flaws with corporate America, but there's nothing wrong with loving your corporate job and your 9 to 5. I really love my job, but I also acknowledge that taking time for myself is not selfish, and it just makes me a better person when I come to work Monday through Friday, and is opening my mind to so many new ways of looking at things in my professional life as well, which I really value. And I'm super excited to continue the podcast and work towards episode 100 by the end of the year. So more content is coming. I thank you all for listening. I truly it wouldn't be the same year without this podcast. And I am super excited for what's to come. So, to celebrate the 50th solo episode, well, my 50th solo episode, and a year in California, I wanted to share lessons learned living in a new city. And this is after 1 year. I'm keeping it pretty high level in the sense of just a few, because I think that along the journey, I have shared lessons that I've learned in different perspectives. So I will link to a couple of those episodes in the show notes if you're interested in listening to them. For today's episode, I'm looking at the lessons learned from a personal aspect and also professional aspect because those are the sides of me. I have my 9 to 5, I have my personal passion project, and I also, have my personal relationships and life and my relationships. So, one of the lessons is walking, and this is something I've been doing more so in 2024. I started in 2023, but mostly in 2024. And I realized that because after living here in California for a few months and working from home, not being in the city, I just wasn't walking as much. I used to walk more in the city because I took public transportation everywhere, and that's New York City, but in the suburbs, you take a car, and now I work from home. So walking has been a game changer for my mental health. I can feel it every day when I walk. And it's still a struggle sometimes, but I am getting to the point where it is second nature. I know I need it. I know it's good for me. And I think whether I was in the city or in the suburbs, that walking is great. And I am a huge advocate for a walking treadmill or a walking pad. I have one and I can include it in the show notes, but even if you can't get outside, try to walk inside, whether you're watching TV. I walk while I work because I work from home, and I was killing two birds with one stone. I started walking while doing simple things like emails to take the pressure off myself of walking on camera. So I would recommend, if you're interested in walking, start slow and start just where it's you and the walking pad and your laptop. And then as you get more comfortable, I started watching movies while I walked, and then I started working and taking meetings while I walked. And I've had questions where people ask if can be as productive while I'm walking. The answer is yes, you can still be productive while you walk and work. You just have to know yourself. And I try to walk at a slower speed when I'm walking and working and doing certain things because I don't want to injure myself. So it's doable. You just have to start small. I am just over 500 miles for 2024 because I have a walking goal of walking 1,000 miles. So I'm 500 miles into my journey to Mordor. For those of you who have been listening, I haven't shared an update in a minute, but I have been doing about 90 miles a month. And that, if you break it down, is about 3 miles a day. So when you break it down, it sounds way more feasible. And I'm I'm just here for people taking care of their mental health. And I think it's important to also be physically active, not for society, but for your own sake. So walking has been a thing that I've learned. It is so many health benefits. Taking time for my passion, which I spoke about this a little bit. It's so a lesson would be it's hard to juggle, but so worth it. More of a reflection. Take time for your passions. It can open your mind to new perspectives and fill your cup up in so many good ways. And I think the juggling is is gonna be worth it at the end of the day. Another lesson is finding harmony. So this is something that I overheard when I went to an event in the fall about, and Tracy Ellis Ross was talked about how she doesn't try to find balance, she tries to find harmony. And I resonated with that immediately because I think the word balance can be triggering. And I think as a woman, I'm trying to balance a million things every day, all day, in my head, physically. So balancing is it's just it's trigger word. I like harmony. Harmony gives me peaceful vibes. It feels it feels so good. It feels different than balance. Balance sounds like work, And harmony requires work to get there, but it's just a little bit more my vibe. So I am making conscious effort to find harmony. And that's with family, my relationship, myself, friends, work, doing what I need to do to feel like I have harmony in my day and focusing my actions and my energy towards things that lead me to that is a lesson that I've learned. It's been a juggling act truly, but and there are ebbs and flows, but that is the goal. And when I feel like I found harmony in a day, I feel so great. So it's definitely a lesson learned now that I'm back home and close to family. When I was in New York, I was so far away from my family that I didn't really need to juggle them in my day to day or my month some months because they were so far away outside of FaceTiming them. But now spending physical time with so many different I have huge families, so trying to spread myself across all of them while maintaining time for my relationship, myself, it can be daunting. And I think that the word harmony just is a nice peaceful goal to work towards. We can only do our best. The next lesson I learned was how good it feels to connect with new people, and especially women creators, entrepreneurs. It's been a journey to get to the point where I can interview people and have that on the podcast. And I am so grateful for it. I can't wait to continue building more connections and relationships and bonding truly with these women. So I'm here for more interviews and all of the experiences. And I think that it is important for us to push ourselves out of our comfort zone sometimes. I think so many things can come from it, but it takes that leap. So that is a lesson that I've learned in this past year to just go for it. If you want to do something, do it, try it out. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but at least you've tried, at least you put yourself out there, and who knows what can come from it. I've I've made some really great connections, and I'm doing a walking experience. It's hosted by one of my college friends who lives in Amsterdam. We went to NYU together, but she founded her own company called And the Table. So this walking experience is hosted by them, but it's going to be led by Lily Higgins, who's an experienced designer. She's also founder of the Intervention Bureau, and she's a host of And the Table. So I will include And the Table in the show notes for any of you who want to learn more about it. And I also interviewed my friend. She was my first interview, so I can link to that as well. But there's this international walk experience. If you're interested, I will include a link in the show notes. It is super cool. It's called the Nourishment Walk, and it's going to be a 1.5 hour live guided audio walk to reflect on your friendship journey, led by Lily. And there is a small group conversation with two other women that I'll engage with as well to reflect on the experience afterwards. And the walk itself is international. So the goal is to just walk wherever I want. So I'm actually thinking of getting a Airbnb for the weekend with my boyfriend and having a different environment to walk in just to really make it a whole experience and take some time away from our home because we haven't done as much in California because this year has been a whirlwind, and I am trying to take advantage of the great weather and summer, and we are coming up on our 2-year anniversary. So making it a bit of a celebration. As to avoid getting more off topic, this walking experience is going to be amazing. I can't wait It's less than $20, I think. It's 18 euros. So it's really cost effective. It's a great, cool concept. And it's going to be an opportunity to engage with women around the world, and I am super excited for it. So I'm going to share a recap from my experience after I do it. It's at the end of July. Well, towards the end of July. The date is July 21st. So if you're interested, there's plenty of time to buy a ticket if they're still available. Highly recommend it. I think it's geared more towards women, but go on the website, take a look, and I hope at least one person indulges in it because I think it's a really awesome concept, and I didn't want to gatekeep it and keep it to myself. So if you're listening and in Amsterdam, there are some walking experiences that And the Table has as well. So if you find yourself in Amsterdam, take a look at their website so you can see if maybe you can sign up for it. If not, the Nourishment Walk, I hope I hope you enjoy it if you buy a ticket. Moving into lessons learned work wise, work from home tips. Now that I've been working from home since the pandemic, but now I have a nice little office set up, more space because I'm in the suburbs, I'm not in the city anymore. Getting a walking treadmill or walking pad if you find yourself somewhere where you have the space, and even if you're in the city in an apartment, there are many compact walking pads and you can easily store it under your bed, like, to have it out of the way. So highly recommend you invest in one and find ways to take breaks while you're at home. If you find yourself in one room the whole day, like I do as well, sometimes I need to just go out on the balcony or go into another room. Some of you that might be listening might not have multiple rooms to go in, but finding what works for you based on the environment you're in and making sure that you invest in ergonomic work from home, a work from home setup. I had my time when I was just moving my laptop around to all different services, and that was great. But in the past years that I've been here, having a desk, and I have a ergonomic ball. Actually, I don't have a chair, partially because I think to myself, I'm not going to sit in it that much because I walk during the workday most days too. So I have this little ball. I got it through work actually as a anniversary gift, and it's great. So I sit on that for part of the day, and then I walk on my treadmill for part of the day or stand. I got a standing desk off Facebook Marketplace and a really good deal. So highly recommend a standing desk where you have the option to put it standing, sit down, and some sort of any ergonomic setup. Keep that in mind because it's so important. And ergonomics are easily overlooked, but they are so important. People be complaining all the time about how their knees crack or the back hurts. And I'm like, well, it's because your posture is trash. So invest in yourself and decorate however you want to decorate. I'm a little behind, but I've made small baby steps, and I think ambiance is so important. So think about the environment you're in and try to spice it up so that it gives you some life back while you're working. And natural light is also key. So I'm a huge natural light person. Not everyone is, but I think bringing some sunlight into the room also helps not feel like you're like falling asleep at the desk or just so bored. When it's dark there at times and I'm working, it just makes me so sleepy. So I think natural light helps keep us awake, and make sure to take breaks because it's so easy to work through the day all day, not take a lunch break or drink water. I find I'm bad at that some days when it's really, really busy and I'm in meetings all day, but that's not healthy. So take water breaks, take a lunch break, even if you need to do an errand while you have some downtime, do the errand. You will be happy that you did. Embrace the fact that you have the flexibility to work from home and take advantage of some of the perks within reason. and sit outside. I've been sitting outside more on my balcony, which has been really nice in the afternoons when I'm feeling a little tired. I'll just sit outside on the balcony, get some fresh air. Game changer. The last lesson for now is, well, finding ways to not stay indoors all day. And that is because those of us who work from home, and I have days where I'm in meetings all day, and that's Monday, and that's Tuesday, and that's Wednesday, and then it's Friday. And I think to myself, have I walked outside at all this week? And the answer sometimes is no. And that is when I usually am starting to feel stir crazy also, and angry because I've been indoors all day, every day. I just don't think that's a normal thing to get used to never like feeling fresh air. So and that's just me. Getting outdoors, I think it's so important. And then not just on the weekends. So it's something I'm working on. I'm not the best at sometimes, but I am trying to be better because I think that when I do allow myself to step away from the desk, sit outside for 30 minutes or an hour or even 15 minutes, it gives me good energy and helps me remember that just because I'm working from home does not mean that I need to be working every single second of every day. Because those of us who are ambitious, I see people fall for the trap of that, and that's doable for a while. But I don't think that's a sustainable way to work, nor what society should expect of anyone. Just because people aren't going to the office doesn't mean that they can be at their computer all day. They need time to eat, they need time to go to the bathroom, like, and that can get lost sometimes, or in my opinion, when you work from home and you're not commuting to an office necessarily or having to step out to get lunch. So, food for thought. And as we wrap up this episode, wanted to share some TV recs, two shows that I started watching and highly recommend. One of them is The Outlaws. It's a BBC show. There are 3 seasons on Amazon Prime Video. I'm on season 1, just a few episodes in, and it takes place in the UK. The gist of it is people who have committed a crime and they're selecting volunteering, help restore, renovate a community center. They chose that over prison time. So, which I think is interesting that you have the choice in general to like either go to prison or give back to society. I think that's really in the community. I think that's an awesome idea, especially for small petty crimes. So that's the gist of it. It's super funny. I am only a few episodes in, but wanted to share for any of you that like a comedy show, and especially if you like British humor. I do, and so does my boyfriend. So we're watching that right now. The second show is The Offer, which is a biographical drama that's on Paramount Plus. That is one that I'm obsessed with right now. And my boyfriend found it because he is a movie guru and TV show guru, but he loves film and TV. So the offer is based off of the producer who produced the 1972 film The Godfather with Francis Ford Coppola, who is the director. So his name's Al Ruddy. It's his experience of making the 1972 film. And it is so great because it's a period piece created in modern times on this movie, this iconic movie, and that had so many iconic actors in it, and you're seeing them make the movie, and then it's a period piece in itself. So in a way, very meta, but I love it. We are 6 episodes in, and it's a 10 episode miniseries. So it honestly feels like a movie. You just want more every episode. Uh, Great cast. There's so many actors and actresses in it that I've seen in so many different types of like TV, film, genres. So that's really cool seeing these actors that have been in some of them like iconic shows take on this whole new persona, and wanted to share a list of some of the names in case that entices you even more. So, Matthew Good, who I love so much, he plays Robert Evans. He plays a studio exec at Paramount, and he was in A Discovery of Witches. If you've watched that, I love that show. Highly recommend it. The Imitation Game, he was the lead in that. He was also in Downtown Abbey. Love that show so much. The Good Wife. So the list goes on. He's been in so many things. I realized as I was Googling him, and I love him so much. So immediately when I saw his face, I was like, this is going to be so good. And I didn't really know much about the show before my boyfriend recommended it to me. But I knew he had me at The Godfather because we watched that together. And I need to finish the other two movies, but I really liked it. So I thought, yeah, the concept of the show sounded so interesting. So Matthew Good, I think that's how I spell good. It's Goode. Goody. Good. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry. Miles Teller. He plays the producer already. Who I love. Miles Teller. He's was in Whiplash, the most recent Top Gun Maverick, Divergent. He was the lead, the co-lead with Shailene Woodley. I think that's who it was. And War Dog. So he's been in a lot different genres, but he is so good in this movie. Juno Temple, she plays his assistant, and her name's Betty McCart. She's Keeley in Ted Lasso and was in Atonement. I didn't even realize. But and an upcoming Venom movie, The Last Dance, that's coming out in October. So she is very, in my opinion, up and coming. I think Ted Lasso really allowed her to shine as an actress, and I love her so much in Ted Lasso. So immediately seeing her face, I was in, and she's really great in this. If you like her in Ted Lasso, you're gonna love her in this. And I don't even remember, honestly, sadly, I don't remember her in Atonement, so I want to rewatch that, but I'm sure she was great in that as well. I'm excited to see her in the Venom movie too, a different genre. So here for her thriving and growing and pushing herself. Giovanni Ribisi is the next person. He plays Joe Colombo, he's an Italian mob boss in New York City, and he was in Sneaky Pete. A bunch of other movies I didn't realize either. Gone in 60 Seconds. That one's a throwback for you millennials or any generation older. I know you know what that movie is. Ted, and he was in Saving Private Ryan. He is a great actor and actually looks similar to what the real Joe Colombo looked like because my boyfriend looked that up. So that's fun. I love when you find an actor that is really great in the role and also happens to have some similarities with the person in real life. I think it adds in another layer to the film, and that's is sometimes hard to accomplish. So kudos to casting. Dan Fogler is another person. He plays Francis Ford Coppola, who's the director of The Godfather. So he has been in Fantastic Beasts. I love him so much in that movie. And he was in Good Luck Chuck and Balls of Fury. I'm not sure. I think I've watched Good Luck Chuck, but that was ages ago. So I know him most from Fantastic Beasts. He is so great. I love him so much as an actor. So it's fun to see him in this role. Justin Chambers is the next person. He plays Marlon Brando, and he was in Grey's Anatomy. I am trying to remember what his character's name was in Grey's Anatomy. This is terrible of me. He was Alex Karev in Grey's Anatomy. So imagine that if you are a Grey's Anatomy fan. He was also in The Wedding Planner. He was the other potential Massimo, the husband that her family was trying to set her up with that was Italian. So he's amazing. He plays Marlon Brando, which is he's he was in The Godfather, and he's a world-renowned actor. Like, he's such an icon. So it's cool to see him play this iconic person, and it's such a departure from him playing a surgeon, so and a pediatric, like a doctor. So that's fun. The last person is someone that I wasn't familiar with before watching this, but am enamored with her. So her name's Nora R. Or yeah, okay, get this part. Her name is Nora Arnazetter. I feel like I'm butchering that, but she plays the girlfriend of the producer Al Ruddy, and I haven't seen her in anything. Apparently, she was in Safe House, which I watched ages ago, which is a movie. I liked it. I think I watched it once. It was one of those ones where you watch once and you're like, okay, this is okay, but like maybe I wouldn't watch it again. But and I don't remember her in it, so um, I'm sure she was great. She's great in this. I love her so much. She's French and she is just such a boss. So I'm here for her energy, and she is a great actress. So wanted to shout her out. That is The Offer. I told my boyfriend I was not going to go on a rant, and alas, here I am slightly ranting because I love this show so much. So I am going to finish recapping it after I finish the show. So I will share some updates and more of my POV on the show. I think it came out pretty recently, so don't want to give too many spoilers. So if you're listening when this comes out, which is the first week of July, no spoilers, but next episode, I will share my thoughts on the series. And I hope that you give it a chance if it's up your alley genre wise. It's so good. Love Island is something I've been watching day to day. The US one just started its third season. And Ariana Madix from Vanderpump Rules is actually the host. So I love that. If you've never watched Love Island, I recommend you start with the Australia and UK versions because those are the OG ones. And then, of course, America had to create their own version. But season 3, in my opinion, is really good. Season 1 is really good. Season 2 was good, but season 3 is really, really good. I really like it. It also gives me a slight PTSD because it gives me flashbacks of dating in New York City because one of the guys in it, I think his name's Rob. He wants to have his cake and eat it too, and I'm not here for it in the way that he goes about it. Like, it's an experience. You go there for you, but like, be mindful of people's feelings. Like, these are real people. It's not just a TV show, and those are the people when I watch it that I don't love always because I'm like, this is a game and you win money. You win money at the end of this, but people's lives aren't a game. And if you're going to go into it, like, just can we go into things with good intentions? Is that too much to ask for? So that is my small spiel. I highly recommend checking out Love is Island USA. It just premiered recently. So there's only about 9 episodes, which is also kind of annoying watching it live because then I have to wait for the next day because I love binge watching some things. So I love you all. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and if you celebrate 4th of July, I hope you have a good 4th of July. I'm going to keep it pretty low key and take it easy. And here's to embracing our authentic selves and living our truth. And thank you again for listening. I love you. Talk soon.
Music and editing done by Marco. You can find him at midnight, MIDNITE_mind on Instagram for more of his work.